Hey guys, welcome in. It's Brad with College SportsCast. Got John Hammonds here with me tonight. It's been a big week for Kentucky basketball, starting SEC play. We are here to do episode 7 of the Big Blue HoopsCast. All right, guys, welcome in. First and foremost, we're starting a new year here with the Big Blue HoopsCast. We are now part of Stadium Rant. I have that at the top of the screen there, and they are featuring us. We're going to be doing some work with them, not only writing, but doing a little cross promotion stuff with Stadium Rant on their podcast and things of that nature. So I just wanted to start out the show and show everybody that we are a part of them now, featured as a feature for Stadium Rant. So start that out with that. That's kind of a new thing here. John, it's good to be part of Stadium Rant, right?
It is. You learn and you grow and I've the times I've tried to learn how to write, I'm slowly learning things every single day, and you just got to keep at it. And if you keep at it, you'll eventually grow and get better. And that's what I've done. So shout out to them and allowing us to be a part of them and to use the coverage for the UK sports.
Absolutely. Agree with all that 100%. It's always great to be a part of a good community. And Stadium Rant definitely has a tremendous community. If you want to check them out, go to stadiumrant.com. There is anything and everything you can think about if you're a sports fan, from soccer to racing to WWE to basketball, football, NFL, NBA, college, anything you can think of. So go there, check them out. And we are here to do our Big Blue Hoop Show. It is HoopsCast show. It is episode 7 already, John. We are already into January, which is crazy to think about as far as the basketball season. If you're on our Facebook, we want to say a huge, huge thank you to everyone on our Facebook. We are growing tremendously, and we appreciate that. We appreciate Kentucky being a part of that as well. If you're on Facebook, you can help support us by sending stars. Helps us earn a little bit of money, so that way we can continue to make content for you guys. Or you can also help support us by subscribing to our page. It's only 99 cents a month, and we would appreciate that as well. So, all right, we got Jared Murphy on here. The articles y'all been putting out have been great reads. Jared, we appreciate that, man. I've got, at the end of the show, going to talk about some of the new articles that we got out today and yesterday. So
yeah, I got another one coming out in the morning, the Georgia preview. I was pretty much up. I was up all night last night trying to get together for the Georgia game. So it'll be out at 7:00 in the morning. So get your coffee and go to work and read.
That's what I did this morning. I had one out at 7:00 this morning Eastern time, which is 6 my time, by the way. So yeah, it's before coffee time for me. So
yeah.
All right. Absolutely. That's before coffee time for me.
Yeah. Most definitely.
All right. Let's see. Trying to figure out where I put these. All right. So it was the opening week for SEC. We're going to start out with the women, John. The women played 2 games this week in the SEC. The home opener was Thursday night this past week. It was a great game, great atmosphere. The crowd was really, got into the game. It was an easy game to get into because they were just shooting lights out. Mississippi State come in 13-1 and was ranked 26th in the net rankings.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky held one of probably the most efficient offenses in the league to 36% from the field. This was a all-around great performance. You had Key play a really big role. Clara Strack played a really big role. Amelia Hassett played a big role. I think Strack had 11. I think rebounds. She's probably the top rebound.
Played great defensively.
Deja Lawrence had 28. Georgia Moore had.
She was lights out.
This was just like a complete performance. And they broke a school record. I think it was 17 threes?
18.
18 threes.
I got it right there. They made 18 3-pointers. They went 18 to 33 for almost 55% in the game. It was a school record. 18 made 3-pointers in the game. Georgia Amore and Deja Lawrence both had 7. That was also a school record.
You want to know what's crazy?
With 7.
They combined for 55 total points.
They did combine for 55 points.
That's absolutely insane to me. Georgia Moore's playing at a high level. She's probably one of the best guards in the nation, not just in the SEC. She can do it all. She can drive. She can score. When she wants to go left or go right, she's one of the best passers in the country.
What's up, Josh? We appreciate that, man.
You've seen her up close. She can do a little bit of everything, passing the ball. She's just got all the tools that you need to go to the next level. And I think you're seeing that with her play this year.
Rachel, we appreciate you. Appreciate everyone that's on with us right now. Georgia, she's got another gear, man. I mean, when you see her, she has got she can change speeds so well and just has that hesitation and that other gear and can dribble through anything. Traffic, you can double, triple team her. She can dribble through 90% of the time. She really is amazing to be there and watch, to be quite honest with you.
I'm going to tell you what I love more than anything out of this team is the way they just play together. They play for their coach. The inside-out game with Clara Strack. She can go out to the perimeter and shoot threes. I'm going to tell you something, man. They have a winnable schedule coming up. And I'm not trying to flash the numbers here, but there's a good
pressure on them, huh?
Well, not really much pressure. But there's winnable games in this stretch where there's just teams that they're going to be in the middle of the SEC tier. And there's a good opportunity for them to go undefeated in this stretch. And for that to happen, and if it does happen, that's going to say a lot about Kenny Brooks and what he's done only in his first year. We've talked about Pope.
Yep.
Well, Kenny Brooks deserves a little.
He's 14 games in, just like
and that's like Pope. We've talked about Pope and what he's done. Give credit to Kenny Brooks. Kenny Brooks is an outstanding coach. He's went to a Final Four. He's won
put together a great roster.
He's won an ACC championship. He's
tournament and regular season.
Yeah, he's done it all. And he done it at Virginia Tech. And now he's at Kentucky and he's showing out here. This team deserves a lot more credit than what they're given for.
The Mississippi State game, to kind of reiterate, go back to this game. They shot lights out. They hit 18 3-pointers. They controlled this game from start to finish. It was a really fun night. They won 91-69, set 2 records in the opening SEC game. 91 points was the most ever for Kentucky women's basketball team in the SEC opener, and also 22-point victory was also tied a record in the SEC opener as well. So they set like 4 records in this game, 18 3-pointers, 2 teammates with 7. They set 91 points for the most in opener. They set 22-point victory, are tied that record. So they set or tied 4 records that I know of in this game. And Mississippi State come in 13-1. Their only loss was a 3-point loss to an undefeated Georgia Tech team. That was their only loss.
And that's a good Georgia Tech team that's going to compete in the ACC.
It is. Their only loss coming into this game was a 3-point loss on a neutral court, I believe, to Georgia Tech. So I'm going to show a highlight of this game. It is a little bit long. It's a minute and something, but bear with us. I want to show this is basically showing many of the 18 3-pointers that night.
All right, be confident in everything you guys do. You guys step up and shoot it. If D-Law is shooting the basketball, I want D-Law to be the most confident person in the building. Don't want to just get good shots, want to get great shots.
Spins it around back to Lawrence. She'll fire a 3 and bucket. Amor 3-ball, and she bottoms another to Hassett. She'll fire a 3, and she buries it. Lawrence will try another, and make another. Another 3, good. That time it's Lawrence again.
Why not? She's feeling it.
Kick to Tyler, 3, good. Amor step back, 3 is good.
And that's what she does. I mean, just when you think you've made some headway, Georgia Amor absolutely hammers down.
Amor 3-ball, and she bottoms another. Amor 3, good again. Georgia Amor is absolutely on fire.
Well, and that's...
How about you, Millie? Hassett knocks it down. Get Lawrence open for 3. You've got to be kidding me. And she hits again. Why not? Amor long 3. And she buries another one. Amor says, I'll fire again. What a night.
Just broke the school record for the most 3s scored in a game with 18. Let's go, Big.
As you can see, that was a fun night. They filled it up all night long.
They did.
It was a fun night that night. So, and then they go on the road.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they go on the road to a 14-1 Vanderbilt team that only had 1 loss, 8 points to a ranked team going into this game. And, historically, John, Vanderbilt in Memorial Gymnasium on their home floor has pretty much had our number. They led 18-8 overall at their house in their gym. Historically, it's been a tough place to play for Kentucky women to go in there and get wins. They had not beaten Vandy for 3 straight trips, 3 straight seasons. So you go into Vandy, you're ranked 16th. Vandy's not ranked at 14-1 somehow, but they were 13th in the net rankings.
They were, and they had a good freshman in Michaela Blakes. She's really, really good for them.
Outstanding.
Pierre's really, really good. Kentucky was coming off a school record 18 3-pointer game in their win over Mississippi State. They buried 6 more in a 31-point first quarter.
They
to lead 14 by
they
14.
buried 6 3-pointers in the first quarter.
Tiana Key had a decent game. Amor had, I think, 18 of 18 shots. with 3 3-pointers. Hassett sank 6 of 10, I believe.
She drained 6 3-pointers. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. My player of the game this game was Clara Strack. This girl was just – I mean, she does it all. She rebounds. She scores. She's got her 7th double-double on the year. You got Deja Lawrence. She hit 3 3-pointers. She had 17.
Yep.
Key had 14. I think she had 7
Hassett
rebounds.
had 20.
Yeah. I'm going to say, from the Vanderbilt side too, Michaela Blakes was coming off a 36-point performance against Georgia in their conference opener.
The Vanderbilt freshman record.
Well, and then you got Camille Pierre. I think she had 19. She had her 11th double-double on the year. She scored in, I think, double figures in 18 straight games dating back to last year. So this was not a Vanderbilt team that is just,
Josh, I'm surprised that maybe they're this good, but I knew they was going to be good.
And now Kentucky goes on the road. They play Florida on Thursday. They're on a momentum little ride here, and to keep, if they keep playing like this, I'm going to tell you something, Brad. I mean, I hate to put any pressure on a bunch of girls, but they got a chance to be in the Elite Eight or maybe even farther if they can play at this kind of level.
I think it's definitely a second weekend in the NCAA tournament team.
Here's my thing with
they have that potential 100%.
Here's my thing with that, though. You're not going to play good every night. You've seen the North Carolina game. They didn't play real well. They didn't hit their shots. Those games are going to happen. But the way they've turned it around at the Christmas break, I don't know what Kenny Brooks said to this team, but they have absolutely
after the North Carolina loss, they have really turned it on.
They've turned it on to another level. I think Clara Strack has a lot to do with that. Georgia Moore is I always say she's the captain of the boat. She knows what to do with the ball in her hands. There's so many weapons on this team that can beat you. It's sort of like the men's team. One person's not going to beat you every single night. It can be 2 or 3 people. And this is the most fun. I'll be honest with you, Brad. I started getting into women's college basketball, I think Caitlin Clark's sophomore year. And I started just kind of following Caitlin Clark and what she was doing at Iowa. And I'm going to tell you something. Women's basketball right now is at the highest peak that it's ever been.
That was the year that Kentucky had Ryan Howard.
Sophomore year. Yeah, her sophomore year. And that was a good team.
It was.
So this Kentucky women team is real. They're a good team. Now we'll find out eventually where they stand up against teams like South Carolina,
some of
Tennessee,
the better teams,
Oklahoma, Texas. But if they
I'm gonna tell you, John,
steal a couple of those games, I think they got an opportunity to do some things.
Yesterday in this Vandy game, I mean, I thought we would have a chance to win this game, but they jumped on them early. I mean, quick. They were up 31-17. They were up 31-17 after the first quarter. And there was one stretch in the second half, early in the second half after halftime, that they cut it to 5. They made one time they cut it to 5. It's 54-49. And Key made some really good plays to kind of stretch it out. Hassett hit a couple of 3-pointers. And they pushed it back out to 13 by the end of the third, and they never looked back. In the fourth quarter, Georgia Amore just went off. She had 12 points in the fourth quarter, wound up with 24. She kind of just went off. But there was a play here in the second quarter. I'm going to say, that commercial where the guy's dangling the fishing rod, the dollar on the fishing rod, and he says, you got to be quicker than that. You know what I'm talking about? You got to be quicker than that. All right, this play right here reminds me of that. There's a girl on Vandy. It looks like the ball's going to come right to her, and she's kind of just standing there. And Deja Lawrence tips it and goes around her, and it's like, oh, you got to be quicker than that. Watch this play. It's really fun.
Pierre got denied by Silva, ping-ponged around, and somehow Lawrence with the hands and the finish.
Phenomenal awareness.
Ooh, you got to be quicker than that. I love that play.
Deja Lawrence are really, really good.
Yeah, I love that play, the way it happened. She tipped it to herself, went around her, and got the finish. Really strong play. Here's one in the second half. I said that they had kind of cut it to 5 there. This is one of the shots by Hassett that helped push the lead back out.
Alf tweeted after the game, "She is our glue. We aren't 14-1 without the consistent and selfless efforts of Jordan Oliver." And boy, that'll quiet the crowd. There is Hassett again.
You know, it seemed at that point that Vanderbilt was kind of getting a little edge, getting a little bit of momentum, and Kentucky just kind of, you know, put a pipe in it, and
They did.
And from there,
100%.
And then from there, it was just kind of smooth sailing for Kentucky.
Yep. So I'm going to wrap this game up. We're going to move on to the next couple of games and then move on to the men's. But before I do that, I want to wrap this up with a video on Tiani Key. And at the end of this, she goes down the lane, she scores a bucket and draws the foul, and she screams like, "Let's go!" And she screams and but she doesn't do it at the person or anything. She actually turns to her teammates and does it. And the refs teed her up on this play. She got a technical foul, and I'm just like, come on, man.
Here's Key, picks up the dribble, drives right, scores, and got fouled on the drive. Here's Key picking up her dribble, driving into front court. Key going to the basket, counted and one. Key with a strong move. Amor moving left. Here's a double team. Amor gets around it, drives free throw line, down low. Key, layup good off the right side. Amor upstairs, left side, in the corner. Key fires a three. Bottom! Big shot for Key. She's got 14.
All right, the play I was talking about was in the middle of that, where she screamed and drew the foul. They teed her up for it, but Tiana Key yesterday in the third quarter was vital. She helped pick us up when Vanderbilt was making that run. She was absolutely vital in the way things were, that game, the way it was played. She wound up with 14 and 7. Let's try to read what all Jared put on there. I agree with that, Jared. I agree with that. All right. So, Georgia Amor. Y'all was talking about since the North Carolina game, 6 straight games of 20-plus points. She's averaging 22.7 and 6.3 assists in that stretch. And averaging like 4.2 three-pointers a game as well in that stretch. I don't know about y'all, but that's SEC level, maybe national All-American level. If she can keep that up.
Yeah,
she's playing some ball, y'all.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
Yeah, I think it's only happened one other time. I mean, maybe Valerie Steele in the 80s maybe have, accomplished this. But in, 82, 83 when Valerie played. But outside of that, it's happened one other time. That was Ryan Howard.
Well, and And this
in
ain't
recent
just
memory. 6
this
straight
ain't just a
games.
Kentucky thing either. Like she was doing this at Virginia Tech. Like she was filming it up. Assist.
He loves it.
She was doing her thing at Virginia Tech. So this ain't just a Kentucky thing here. She's been doing this.
Speaking of Virginia Tech,
she's been doing this.
Speaking
for
of Virginia Tech, so at the Mississippi State game the other day, after the game, I got up and was getting ready to. The girls come around. The crowd kind of comes down, similar to the men's, and tries to get signatures and autographs and things of that nature. And the girls come around and stuff. And one of the fans that was back there had a little girl, and it was looked like a husband and wife. And the husband was wearing a Virginia Tech hat. And I spoke to them and I said, man, it's I appreciate you being here. And he said, man, I'm from Blacksburg. And he said, I've watched her for 4 years. He said, we recently moved here to Kentucky. And he said, we just love her. And he brought a little girl. He said his little girl wanted to come see her play. It was just kind of I thought it was a pretty neat thing to see this guy in a Hokie hat at the game. All right, John, 2 games this week, 2 SEC games this week. They play at Florida on Thursday night and then at home on Sunday versus Auburn. I think both of these teams are like 9-6, 10-5, somewhere in that range. They are similar records. Both of these teams are. Yeah. I agree with you. I think both of these games are winnable games, but if you have an off night shooting, I think both of these teams are good enough to challenge you if you happen to have an off night.
Yep, that's true.
So, yeah, Madeline says, good thing basketball's played inside. No kidding with the weather the way it is.
Yeah, right now.
100%, yeah. Florida is coming off of a win.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn just lost to LSU yesterday, but we get Auburn on Sunday. Florida's coming off of a win. They're 1-1 in the SEC. So their coach is putting together in her second or third year. I think she's doing a good job down there. And Auburn coach, she's pretty strong as a coach, I believe. And I think she's got a team that if you have an off night, I think she's got a team that could challenge you. So, but this is at home, Memorial. So, like you said, John, Kentucky women's on a stretch here of 5 games, to be honest, that I think are winnable. And being able to get those 2 wins against the 1-loss teams of Mississippi State and Vanderbilt puts you in a situation, if you can win those games and be sitting at 7-0 heading into the January 30th Alabama game.
Yeah.
That's their next ranked opponent.
I mean, I said that to say, we're going to find out where they are with Texas and Oklahoma. And, Oklahoma just beat Tennessee Sunday. Tennessee had their chances to win that game.
So 7 of their last 9 games are against ranked opponents.
That's where the tail will be.
They have
told.
one of the toughest closing schedules in the country. They have 7 of their last 9 games are against ranked opponents. This stretch right here that I was talking about, the next 5 games, is going to be essential for them to stay at the top because of that stretch of 7-9 against ranked opponents. And you're talking Texas and South Carolinas and the LSUs and Oklahomas. And, I mean, you're talking really good teams that they play in that stretch.
Very talented.
All right. The last thing I want to mention about the girls is they moved up to 15 in the AP poll today. They finally moved up after wins for the last 5 weeks, but they only moved up one spot, John.
I mean,
I still think they should be 12 or 13 right now. I don't think they're top 10 just yet. But I was happy to see that they moved up a spot and not stayed still.
I mean, they're going to have their opportunities to move up and show that they can continue this run that they're on and the momentum they're on. Just got to keep winning. I always say, just win and everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah, it'll take care of itself. 100%. I agree with that. All right, John, we're going to move on to the men. I'm going to take us down for a second. And behind this is Dan Schumann's response about Rupp Arena at 11 o'clock in the morning the other day. I'm going to All right, guys. Did you see that? Maybe you got a chance to read that. It was pretty cool. Atmosphere. It was a pretty cool atmosphere at 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. The earliest game ever for Kentucky, a home game ever.
Yep.
So, to have that crowd there and to be able to perform for the crowd was huge. I mean, everybody knows now that Kentucky beat the 6th-ranked Florida team 106-100. Amazing game. John, what was your thoughts on the game?
I mean, it didn't start out great. Florida jumped out to an 11-point lead. It felt like we was getting out rebounded at times. The effort kind of wasn't there at times. I felt like Amari
Gator
Williams,
for brunch is kind of good, Madeline.
I felt like Amari Williams.
I like me some Gator bites.
Was getting pushed around in the paint. And then all of a sudden, they hit them with an 11-0 run and then a 16-0 run to go up 10. And a lot of that started with Otega Oweh and Kobe Brea. Florida had no answer for Kobe Brea. He drilled 3 3-pointers in a stretch under 2 minutes in the second half to kind of thwart Florida's comeback. And I tell you, another guy that played really big was Lamont Butler. He finished with 19 points on the night. He had, I think, a career high 8 assists. The biggest play of the game, I've said it since this game ended, was when he found Andrew Carr in the corner for the 3 to put him up. What was it, 7? Because
that was the dagger. You're talking about the dagger at the end?
Yeah. If you missed that shot, Florida's got an opportunity to go down and maybe cut the lead down. But overall, great performance. Kentucky doesn't have, I'm going to say this real quick, Brad. Kentucky doesn't have like an All-American or, a Janai Broome or, a Chaz Lanier type guy that just completely takes over a game. What they got is a group of guys that have different skill sets.
Team.
I'll
be honest with you. What they got is a team.
That was on display against Florida Saturday. Look at Brea.
Hey, Mike.
He hits all these threes.
Good to see you, man.
You got Otega Oweh's physicality. Amari Williams got a lot tougher in the second half. Lamont Butler, he's got that leadership at the guard position. Every time Florida made a run, Kentucky would answer. I don't so much say that last year's team doesn't fold in this situation because that was you had a bunch of freshmen on that team.
And that Florida team kept making runs. Like they kept
and this year
making
you
runs.
got a bunch of guys that are
close
transfers, a lot of veteran players that can actually, finish a game late in the game and make it happen. So, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Brad. No disrespect to Florida, they have a great team. Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin. That might be one of the best backcourts in the country. Not even in the SEC, but in the country. They are just really, really good.
Yeah, they're tough. They are tough. That backcourt is tough. I mean, tough. Mm-hmm. Kobe Brea was named SEC Player of the Week today after that game. And, I've got a little video here of his play from the Florida game. So I'm going to talk about Kobe Brea here in a second and show this for you guys.
Gives it off to Brea. Brea out beyond the arc, launches a long three. Got it. Cut off, throws it over to Brea. Wide open, left corner, 3-ball, money.
How'd that happen?
Almador looking to get it to Butler. Couldn't, out to Brea. Deep three. Got it! It's tied at 26. His right, hits to Robinson on a backdoor cut. Out to Brea. Quick three. Good! Left corner. Kobe Brea has 4 first-half three-pointers. Here's Brea with the ball. Slides left. Gets a window. A three. Money!
I was just going to say, got to get Brea some opportunities.
Deep on the left side. Goes down the lane. Pitches it out on the right side to Brea for a three. Got it! Nice. Fakes. Moves in. Back to Brea. Fakes, puts it behind his back, slides right, now slides left. Good!
Oh, man. Oh, no. Hey, yeah, keep shaking your head on that, man.
I'm going to tell you guys, that last shot where he is just fake it and trying to get him off the ground and just trying to get a sliver of a look to get that shot off. That shot is absolutely amazing to me. I know he hit a bunch more besides that one, but that shot where he's just trying everything in the world to get a sliver of an opening, to get a shot off and still bust it, that's the 7th one there. And he gets SEC Player of the Week, John.
Yeah, I mean, he done it all for them Saturday. They have shown all season long, Brad. It's hard to count this team out when they get down. They had the 11-0 run, then they had the 16-0 run. You had the Lamont Butler steal before halftime to put them up 10. Now, how are they going to
straight pocket picker right there?
Now here's where it gets kind of tricky. How are they going to respond after a game like this? Going on the road with Georgia, that's my next big question. But it was 2 heavyweights in college basketball Saturday. Right out of the gate, 11 o'clock a.m. People hadn't even rolled out of bed to get their coffee yet, and you already had a banger of a game going on. Like, that's what college basketball is about. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mike. I mean, I think Kobe Brea has a chance to get drafted in the second round. I would say maybe on that. I think so. I mean, anybody could use a shooter like Kobe Brea because I think he's one of the best I've ever seen. To be quite honest with you, he's money.
There's 2 things.
Like I said, all he needs is a sliver of just to get his shot off, and it's good. I mean,
there's a couple things I want to. There's a couple things I kind of want to touch on real quick, Brad. There's 2 concerns. I wanted to kind of bring this up into this. There's 2 concerns that I have. The slow starts. It drives me crazy. They did it again against Florida. They got down 11. You do this against a team like Auburn or Tennessee, you might not come back. And that concerns me going forward. We've seen them though respond coming out of the half several times this year though. But we haven't really seen a lot of it in the first 10 minutes. It's always been we get behind, we have to fight back. With the gauntlet that the SEC is, for me, it's going to have to change if they want to make some noise in conference play this year, especially if you go on the road. You got to get the lethargic stuff out because you can't go to Auburn, which we don't go to Auburn this year, but you can't go to Tennessee or some of these high-profile environments and get behind the 8 ball really quick, because if you do, you might end up like Arkansas did to Tennessee, or Tennessee did to Arkansas Saturday, or South Carolina got done by Mississippi State. You can't have slow starts, and when the other team is shooting and they're hitting shots, and you're not, it's a bad day for you. And the second part,
I've got some concerns. I'll mention when you get done here.
That was my first one. My second one is the rebounding. Florida entered the game. I think
that's number one for me.
They was really great at offensive rebounding. They out-rebounded Kentucky by 8, I believe. The physicality of teams against Kentucky has continued to be an issue for this team. They typically, close the gap late in the game, but it's something you got to look at as you go into SEC play against some of these physical teams. Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia's going to be physical tomorrow night. You're going to have to get a little toughness in you and just, push somebody out of the way. Florida was doing it. You're going to have to get tougher on the go, get on the glass, and you're just going to have to – I've always said, my coach always told me playing middle school ball, rebounding's all about effort. It's all about you want to. If you don't want to do it, then there's really no point of trying. It's all about effort and getting to the ball and getting on the glass. And there was times
putting a body on somebody.
You
got to put a body on somebody.
And
you got to want to be physical.
You got to have a want to about you. And there's
you got to want to be physical.
And there's certain times during this season that I've just seen where Kentucky just laid down, particularly the Ohio State game. They just completely let Ohio State just run roughshod and eat them up in the paint.
And killed them on the glass as well. They killed us on the glass.
And that just can't happen.
Brown beat us on the glass. I don't know if y'all heard me, but Brown beat us on the glass. They're
I'm not
saying
6'6"
and 6'7".
I'm not saying that, Mike. Mike mentioned a good point. He said, we've said that all year against Duke, Gonzaga, and Florida, but we've come back against them all. We have, but there's going to come a point where you're not going to be able to in SEC play. You're going to get behind the 8 ball.
Mike says we're built for the second half, not March.
And you're not going to be shooting well. You're going to have to play ugly. You're going to have to play ugly to win some of these games. Like tomorrow night, Georgia. You're going to have to play ugly and play their pace. Kentucky likes to play fast.
Play physical, because in the SEC it's going to be physical.
It's going to be physical every night.
Let me run through a few of mine. My number one is rebounding. I've been saying that. John will account for that. I mean, I've been saying that for like weeks now. The rebounding has got to get better. I mean, plain and simple, we have got to get some people. We got 6'11" and 7 foot on the back line starting. And I mean, Amari Williams in the Brown game was 8 minutes into the second half before he got a rebound.
Yeah, that's not.
He's 7 foot. What? How? Please explain that to me. I'm 6'2". I promise you. I will. If you put me in the game in the amount of minutes he was in, I'll get a rebound.
Like you said, Brad.
I promise.
It's all about want to. It's all about effort. It's all about putting a body on somebody and just getting after the glass.
My second concern is Jackson Robinson's just been off, y'all. And it's a concern for me because I think this team is going to need him. I think he is like the other day, I know that Oweh went off and really had a good run there, and Butler did, but there was a time there where Florida had cut it to like 3 or 4, and Jackson Robinson finally hit a couple of shots and helped push it back out. And I told the people I was watching it with, I said, that's going to be absolutely essential and key down the stretch for this team. Jackson Robinson has to find a way to be a leader on this team for Kentucky to reach its full potential. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team. I'm saying for Kentucky to reach their full potential, Jackson Robinson has to find a way to be the guy, the leader for this team. That's what I think. And then the third thing is, I still think we've got to find a way to get a little bit of production from our freshmen. And you look at our freshmen, and we're just not doing much. And I think we got to find a way to get a little bit of production. I think, at the end of the season, down the road, I think it's going to matter in a game or two. And one game can knock you out.
Yeah, all it takes.
So those are mine.
You bring up a good point about Jackson Robinson. I was looking at Twitter. I think it was X. I think it was yesterday, maybe. I think Dylan Ballard posted it. After the game, Jackson Robinson went back on the court, and Mark Pope had his arm around him, and he was talking to him.
Yeah.
Jackson's going through some stuff. I don't know whether it's personal, whether it's on the court, but you could tell that it was a really sincere conversation. He's probably down on himself about things, and he's just trying
I love Oweh, but I still think Jackson Robinson's got to reach his potential for this team to reach their potential.
I think he's trying to reiterate that he's important to this team. And that's the one thing I love about Mark Pope is he loves these players. He loves these guys. No matter what they do, he's always there for them. After the game, you had some fan or maybe gave a
baby to Kobe Bryant.
Come on now. Like, this is
only at Kentucky.
Only at UK. This is the most
only
fun
at Kentucky
I've had
does that happen.
Watching a team. This is the most fun I've had watching a team play in quite a while.
Madeline's on with us. Madeline, would you hand your baby to a player? I mean, I really want to know the answer to that. Because
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, Kent. Jackson, he was putting up shots after the game, and I think that's a big thing. He was shooting free throws.
Listen, guys, I'm not saying that this team is going to be a bad team without him. That's not what I'm saying. I just want to reiterate. I'm just saying for this team to reach its full potential and have a chance at a Final Four and a title, I think this team's going to need Jackson Robinson to be the guy.
Somebody mentioned it yesterday in a Kentucky page.
All right.
Something.
Madeline says, I would never hand my cat to a player. Thank you. Somebody with some sense.
The biggest thing here for Jackson Robinson, I'll say this, Brad, real quick. There's going to be that one game where he just explodes. And it's going to be one of the greatest coming out parties we've seen. And
I hope it's a coming out party for the rest of the year and not just the one game.
Well, I'm just saying there's going to be one game where he just goes completely bonkers, like a Kobe Bryant night. And I'm going to be so happy for that kid because that kid put in a lot of time. He shoots after games. He shoots free throws. He's I've read interviews with him.
He was in the gym for hours after this game the other night.
He's focused on this team, and he loves this team, and he wants to help this team win. And for me, I think that's one of the greatest things that you can have as a player, and especially with Pope being his coach.
Well, I want it for him too, because he came here hoping he had NBA potential. He was projected as a late first rounder last year, come back, so I'm hoping that he can reach his potential.
Madeline, that's something I'm not worried about. She said, my concern is our possibility of freezing up during the madness. I'm not so much worried about that because Kentucky's had, what was it, Brad? The last 2 years they've faltered in the madness. I think they're going to be ready to. I think they're going to be ready. I don't think they're going to be off. I think Pope's going to have them ready to play because Kentucky fans have seen too many bad moments in March, and I think he's going to have them ready to go. And I don't think you're going to have nothing to worry about with the tournament. Now, they might lose a game in the SEC tournament, but when it comes to the March Madness, I think this is a second weekend team. I think with a good draw, I think they're in that second weekend tier.
I think this team with a Jackson Robinson that's playing lethal, I think this team could be a Final Four team. That's what I'm saying.
I do.
All right. I'm going to show some highlights for Andrew Carr on this game.
They're out deep on the right side. Carr's got it, top of the circle. They leave him open. A three. Got it!
And that
almost thrown away, but Carr rescues it. Pump fake, goes up, and he scores. Carr left of the lane, backing down, splits two defenders and lays it in. Hands it to Butler, 4 seconds. Back to Carr, open, left corner for three.
Yes.
Got it!
Great execution. Great execution.
See, right there is what I'm saying.
Right there.
That's what I'm saying with Jackson,
man. I'm telling you.
That's what I'm saying with Jackson Robinson. Did you see him? He's cheering his teammates on. He's not getting down on himself.
Yep.
And that's what I love about the kid. He's continuing to go out there and figure things out, and I think he's going to get it together.
All right, one more highlight. This is a game highlight, so it's a little bit longer, but enjoy this. This is Kentucky, Florida, 106-100 SEC opener.
Curls into the lane, goes for the rim, banks it up, and it goes in. Got it, top of the circle. They leave him open. A three. Got it. Robinson hits Williams, going down the lane. Wide open dunk. Over to Brea, wide open, left corner, three ball, money. Sends it over to Almanor, wide open, right side. Follow dunk by Oway. Putting out to Brea, deep three. Got it. Play in the head. Oway, right side, three ball. Got it. Look at his right, hits Robinson on a backdoor cut. Out to Brea, quick three. Good. Robinson, right side, three ball, good. He gets it to Robinson, high post jumper, good.
Yeah.
Steal by Butler. Butler going the other way, puts it in, and a foul on contact. Puts it behind his back and loses the ball, and Butler's got it going the other way. Butler drives it, Clayton puts it up and in. Robinson, 10 on the shot clock. Robinson's three, good. Garrison hands it to Perry, his three, good. Williams drives down the lane, goes right at Condon and scores it over. Pivots, goes up, and scores, and a foul. Oway couldn't, bounces it to him. Oway down the lane, flips up and up, and it goes in. On a backdoor cut, layup, good. For Lamont Butler. Fakes, puts it behind his back, slides right, now slides left, good.
Oh, man.
Carr, back to Butler, open three, left corner, good. To Butler, 4 seconds, back to Carr, open, left corner for three. Yes.
All right, guys, that was a fun win. On Saturday morning. I'm going to call it morning because that's really when the game started. It was a fun win against the Gators. I'll say this. It's a shame that we are not playing the Gators twice.
Yeah.
I've been a Kentucky fan all my life. I just turned 50 years old. It's been 60 years since Kentucky and Florida have not played twice. 60. The one thing I miss about all this expansion and all this stuff that's going on is some of the traditions. And I do miss that we will not play Florida twice.
Yeah.
All right, somebody else. Josh, I don't see our screens being blurry. I don't know if it's yours or what, but
I don't know.
does anybody else have a problem with our screens being blurry? Just
I don't
out of
see
the
it.
curiosity.
I don't know.
Mike says he don't see it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I just thought I'd check real quick because I was looking through there and just seeing if anybody else had an issue with that. All right, one thing I'll finish up with on the Florida win is Pope is 3-0 versus AP top 10, guys. Like, you can't get much better than that.
Nope.
He matches Adolph Rupp as the only other Kentucky coach to win their first 3 games. Actually, Rupp won 7. So he's got a little ways to go to get to Rupp. But outside of Rupp, Pope is the next coach that's won the first 3 versus AP top 10. So it's a big deal. Madeline says not blurry. She asked Josh, "Are you drinking?" I don't know. He's on the bourbon again. That's all I know. He must be on the bourbon, Madeline. That's all I can tell you. All right, John, we are going to move on. We're going to talk about the games this week. We played 2 road games this week. They go back-to-back road games in the SEC here. I think road games are going to be absolutely crucial. It's going to be a tough slate in the SEC. Every team is good. I think Georgia is probably the more winnable game here. Mississippi State is ranked, 12th or something today when the new poll come out?
13th, maybe?
13th? Somewhere. They're up there pretty high.
No, like you said, I think
Starkville is a tough place to play.
I think this Georgia game is the more winnable one out of the 2. But like you said, you can't overlook anybody in this team, in this league, especially on the road. SEC has 9 teams in the top 25 this week. 6 of them are in the AP top 10. To me, that's
6
absolutely
teams
insane.
in the top 10. That's insane.
To me, yes.
Chris
you're not going to be able to overlook anybody.
Kentucky National Champions 2025. He says you heard it here first, fellas.
You can't overlook anyone in the SEC. You got to take it one game at a time. I feel like that's what Mark Pope has tried to instill in them. The next game is the biggest game. I think that's a great mindset to have, especially in the SEC with how awesome it is and the gauntlet that they're going to play. Now, I'm going to say this about Georgia a little bit. Asia Newell, if you've not watched him play, I got an article coming out tomorrow. I kind of spoke on him a little bit. He's not the greatest shooter, but he's a really good player that can, take you off the dribble, rebound. I think he had 13 rebounds against Ole Miss Saturday. So Kentucky's going to have to play, I wouldn't say their A game. They're going to have to bring at least their B game to win this game because, there's been times where we've kind of dominated this series, Brad.
Mike White has done a pretty decent job with, because Georgia was terrible for a few years.
They were. And I think Mike White kind of turned that around.
And he's got a good class coming in. I don't know if you guys know this, but Dominique Wilkins' son is going to be coming in to Georgia next year. And he's got a player or two with them. I mean, he's doing a really good job down there. Surreal.
Yeah, and
Surreal's down there that was committed to us.
Yeah. Asia Newell's really, really good. They got a couple of guards that
or whatever his name was.
They got some guards that are really, really good. A few, I think, is the other one. Dakota a few. Dakota a few is the other kid that's really, really good. So to me, this is a winnable game, Brad. It's one of those games where you don't want to fall asleep on the road and get behind and let the crowd.
I'm going to tell you all right now, Josh Hubbard is going to be a nightmare on Saturday.
He is. He ain't just the only
Josh Hubbard's a player.
You got Charles Matthews, you got Riley Kugel, the transfer from Florida. He plays. He transferred there from Florida. So Mississippi State. I'm going to tell you something, Brad. I mentioned this.
James plays defense.
I'm going to tell you this. On X, I mentioned this earlier. The Hump is going to be the place to be on Saturday night. It's going to be rocking. It was rocking last year.
Get over the hump. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. It was rocking last year. If you remember, I don't know if people remember this or not, but Kentucky was down double digits until Reed Sheppard had one of the greatest, probably the greatest road, individual performances I've seen. He took it and put it on his back, and they won down there. So,
we talked about the rebounding, Chris.
2 tough road games coming up. I feel like Georgia's a more winnable game. I think if you can go 1-1 in this stretch, Brad, and you come home, Tuesday night or Wednesday night, I think. They play Texas A&M, and then they come home again.
The Hump's what they call their gym.
It's called Humphrey College. It's called Humphrey Coliseum.
Humphrey Coliseum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the nickname for it's the Hump.
Just a nickname called the Hump. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she said a bar.
That's why I said I hope they can get over the hump.
Yeah. But anyways,
it's not a bar, Madeline.
Big stretch coming up. If you can go 1-1 out of this
tonight, Josh Drinkett and the Hump being a bar.
If you can go 1-1 in this little stretch here, I think you'll be okay. A&M coming to town, and then you got Alabama coming to town. That, Brad, I'm going to say this. We thought Florida's offense was good. Alabama's might be even better.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't even want to think. I just want to think about this week in the 2 road games.
I'm just saying, somebody mentioned
these road games in the SEC are going to be a nightmare, I think.
Somebody mentioned this today.
If you can go 5-4 on the road in the 9 games, I think that's going to be pretty good.
And to top this is a quad 1 game tomorrow. If Kentucky wins, it's a quad 1 road win.
That's messing with you, Madeline. She says she loves cake.
So somebody mentioned yesterday, said they was talking about Alabama and Kentucky, and said the first team to 200 would win this game. And I'm not exaggerating. I believe that's you're going to see an up and down.
120. 200 is a little bit of exaggeration.
You're going to see an up and down game.
Could we see a 120-point game against Alabama? I think it's a possibility. I really do think it's a possibility.
Oh,
all right, Kentucky.
He mentioned something about Arkansas. I wrote an article about Calipari tonight, so if you get a chance, go read it.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a minute. But before we do, one of the last things here, Kentucky moved back up to number 6 in the AP poll today. They've been 4 twice. When we get to 4, we've been knocked back down with a loss. Is anybody worry about, because it seems like every time we get in the top 5, we did that last year.
Yeah.
Every time we got to the top 5, we would lose a game. So far, we've been to 4 twice, and we've lost.
Well, I guess, everybody has those stretches and lose games, like that, Brad. I mean, you go through the whole top 25 and they get into the top 10, they lose a game, 15, they lose a game. It's going to happen all year long. I mean, it's, especially with the gauntlet the SEC is, I think you're going to see more losses as they go, but you want to win your home games. So.
All right, y'all. We are going to get, she says, my Bengals are not going to the playoffs. Yeah. The Chiefs said no.
Yeah.
They just laid down so you guys couldn't get there. I'm sorry. But that's just the way it works out this time. All right, John. We are going to get to our articles. Go to stadiumrant.com. John has got an article on the Florida game, and the last couple of days I've got an article on this that came out this morning on the Vanderbilt game for the women. Also, John has an article out about John Calipari and the comments he made about not having a shoot-around after the Tennessee game. And then we also have our other guy, John Roberts, today put out an Auburn baseball preview. So if you are a SEC baseball fan or an Auburn baseball fan, go check those out. We got a lot going on.
And then I have an article coming out at the crack of dawn in the morning at 7 a.m. So about Georgia.
And that's going to be on the Georgia-Kentucky game?
Georgia-Kentucky game, yeah. So,
preview
Brad,
article.
Can I talk about something before we go for our final buzzer?
Yep.
I kind of want to I know that everybody has seen it already, but Reed Shepherd got sent to the G League this afternoon. And I want to kind of say this because I know people are going to say, well, he should have never left Kentucky. He should have never, you got to follow the money. You got to follow, he was slotted to go in the top
Unfortunately,
3.
guys, he had a tough choice to make. And
He
inside of that tough choice, he had a top 5 pick. He was the number 3 pick. You can't pass that up. You know why you can't pass that up?
Because
honestly, John, you know why you can't pass that up? Not only the money, but if you do come back and you don't play as well, the likelihood that you're going to stay there is slim to none.
Well,
like somebody else is going to come along. Like you don't stay there. You have to go. You have to cash in when your stock is at the highest. That's what was wrong with Calipari the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and
if you ask me,
and another instant of that is, say he comes back and he tears an ACL, and now his whole season's gone. And in an NBA, franchise is going to be like, oh, he come back to school, he was a top 3 pick, and now he's come back to school, he's hurt. Now what do we do? They're not going to draft him. You've seen that with the NBA in the last 15, 20 years. Guys go back to school and they get injured and they come back and they're not the same player.
Hurt. You don't even have to get hurt. You could be doing what Jackson Robinson's doing right now. I just had a whole conversation about Jackson Robinson, who possibly could have been drafted last year, and he's come back. He's kind of struggling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows if it'll work out in his favor or not?
I want to say this too, Brad. I'm cheering him on from the sidelines. I'm hoping
everybody is
that he can go to the G League.
He's got the talent, y'all. He's just got to work.
You got to figure it out. I'm praying that
and find his path.
find his path, find his own path.
Yep.
I'll say this about the Rockets. They probably had a lot of people in front of him, and there was just no room for him to,
They've drafted a lot of talent the last 2 or 3 years.
did.
I don't know if you've
They
kept
did.
up with the Rockets, but
Yeah,
they have
drafted quite a bit of talent.
stockpiled the last 3 years in the draft.
See, here's what I
they
don't
have
want.
drafted a lot of talent.
Here's what I don't want to happen, and I hope it don't happen. I hope he don't go to the G League, and he does really good, and all of a sudden the Rockets say, well, we're going to release you, how some NBA G League teams do, and we're just going to see where you can end up somewhere and just kind of bounce around like these players do in the G League and the NBA. I want Reed Sheppard to really focus in and get his mind right and go to the G League and dominate and figure out what he can do and create his own path. And I think
agree with that, Clyde.
And I think there's going
I
to be
was
a
just having a
spot.
little fun.
And I think there's going to be a spot on the NBA team somewhere, whether it's the Rockets or whether it's any other NBA team. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up, Brad, because I felt like, he's probably down on himself tonight a little bit. He probably
a lot of
feels
Kentucky
bad.
fans are going to jump on board and say that he should have come back, and he, for us, for Kentucky, for us, I would have died. I would have loved to have had him back. There's no question. But for him and the rest of his life, he had to cash in when the iron was hot. He had
and I'll say this, Brad, it's not like he's not going to be making bank in the G League either. Like, he's going to be making some money there too. Like, he's going to be making some, nice cash in the G League. So it's not like he's literally being thrown out of the NBA. Like, he's working on his game.
He's got a guaranteed. He's got a top 3 pick guaranteed.
He's got a guaranteed. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he's not just being thrown to the end. Like, because a lot of fans are going to be –
he's locked in for 3 years.
I just know how fans can be. They can get negative about all this, and I just think that just give the kid time and let him create his own legacy.
Let him develop. Just develop. Let him work. This is a job now. He's got to work to find his spot and his path.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 3 years, a guarantee of 3 years. And if he can play good, he gets a 4th, being a top 3 pick.
Hey, Brad.
So, he's got a little time.
My other hot topic I was going to talk about was the Calipari shoot around, but I think we're going to save that for the Big Fuss show the next time we come on.
Read the article, because John did a pretty good job. It's getting a lot of hits. It's getting a lot of hits tonight.
It's getting hits.
It is getting hits.
I mean, it is.
Check it out.
It is what it is.
For real, go check it out. John did a good job on that article.
I will say,
controversial, all that good stuff.
I kind of will say this about that whole situation. The way he said it at the end of what he said was they slept in. That's on coaches.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
That's on the coaches.
And if you go back and look at the 22 SEC tournament, guess what? Against Tennessee, guess what? Kentucky didn't have a shoot-around. And Calipari admitted it. That's twice. It's not once. It's twice. I'm just saying.
Take your ball and go home.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up.
That's what happened Saturday, unfortunately. Arkansas just, never got off. Arkansas just never got off the bus. They just took their ball and went home.
Yeah. They must have just barely made it off the bus. I don't know what they did. They had to sleep in, is all I know.
And I say this, Brad, real quick.
Their internal clocks are at noon, and the game was at 1 o'clock.
Listen,
so I'm
telling you,
and that's from his own words.
and I'm not being disrespectful taking a shot here. There's
I kind of am.
There's legitimate concerns about Calipari. Like me and Brad had them last night. There's some concerns there, like real concerns that I'm really concerned about. And you know, it just looks like a coach.
I am concerned on that end, but it's also still kind of funny. Their internal clock was noon, and the game was at 1 Eastern time. So, they just barely made it to the gym.
Mike brings up a good point real quick, Brad. Does Cal last 5 years at Arkansas?
No. My answer is no. I said it last year, 2 to 3.
Well, they slept in Saturday.
I think they did sleep in, Madeline. Yeah. Okay, y'all. I got to quit. All right. This has been Big Blue HoopsCast, man. We enjoy these. We're going to try to keep these on Monday nights the best we can through the SEC tournament or the SEC season because there's no games on Monday nights, men's or women's. So Monday night should be a good time to do these, and we enjoy doing these. So I want to give a huge shout out to the University of Kentucky being able to go to these games. Women's, I went to a couple of men's things as well, and got to give a huge shout out to the University of Kentucky. Those clips that I showed are official University of Kentucky clips as well. So just got to give a huge shout out to them for allowing us to do this and use their stuff as well. This picture that I'm showing is of them, back. That's Rupp from the game the other night against Florida. So, everything that we're doing here, got to give a huge shout out to them. Huge shout out to Stadium Rant, and being a part of them is a big time bonus that's allowing us to do some of that, to have that kind of a platform. So with all that said, we are going to do a early show, possibly more than likely Wednesday night, because Thursday and Friday are the semifinal football games, and we're going to do a / Big Fuss game day pick'em show.
Are you ready, Brad?
This week.
Are you ready for some national semifinal football?
Yeah, man. I'm pretty stoked about it. Like, to be honest with you, I really wish Georgia would have made it. I'm not going to lie. I know we got some people here that Kentucky fans that may not agree with me on that.
Go Notre Dame. Go Irish.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. I was kind of pulling. I really wish another SEC team would have been there. To be honest with you, but I got it real quick on that. We've been kind of dogging James Franklin for 2 years on this show. Would it be fitting for him to cash in and win the title in the first 10? Like, he has a shot here.
Probably shut us up.
He's taken all these hits of being 1 of 10 and all this stuff with the big games and all this stuff for his career at Penn State. Just saying, he's got a shot here. All right, guys, we will see you guys on Wednesday night. Y'all have a good one. This has been College SportsCast, Big Blue HoopsCast, episode 7.
Okay.
Y'all have a good night.